On the Ophel-site, a cave has been excavated that was used by the rebels. Coins have been found to connect this cave to the last days, if not the last hours, of the insurrection in 70 AD. Now, there's a cave being described by Josephus as well in his last book on the Jewish wars, with some striking similarities. From this cave, Simon, the leader of the rebels, appeared above the ground in order to surrender to the Romans, and he appeared at the site where the temple once stood. So if these are the two same caves, then that is very telling. Now, in video number 7, in which I said that the tunnel that Simon and his companions have been digging in 70 AD in order to escape the wrath of Titus, is a potential archaeological find on the Ophel-site. Now, a week later, a video was uploaded by Sergio and Rhoda in Israel, and I will give a link in the description. And among other items, they were showing that cave that has been discovered on the Ophel-site. And again, the similarities between what Josephus describes and this discovery on Ophel is striking. Let us have a look at the video of Sergio and Rhoda.
What is this? This is the Ophel cave.
What? Oh, this is amazing.
You didn't know you were signing up for all this, did you?
No.
When we started out excavating in the cave, you couldn't stand up. Like the fill was up so high that you had to kind of stoop over underneath the top.
This cave was used as one of the last hideouts during the Great Revolt, as the Jews were hiding in this very place in their final moments of the siege.
On that layer in which they dwelt here, we found one of the largest hoards of Year 4 revolt coins. So this enables us to know that they were living here in the final moments of the siege.
As we entered deeper into the cave, we were taken over by chills, just imagining what it would have been like living out your last days before capture.
So this would have been the height to stand on. If we look at about head height here, you see these lines carved into the wall, you see all the bugs on them. But in any case, you have vertical lines, a bunch of vertical lines, and then a horizontal stroke, and then a bunch of vertical lines
Under that.
Yeah, what is that?
Good question. You don't know? I like to call it the calendar. Maybe for the people that were living under here, oh my gosh, trying to ride out the siege. It would have been dark under here. Maybe they were trying to count off days that they were living here.
So, a cave, apparently digged by the rebels, given the coins that were found there. The cave digged in eastward direction, if I interpret the video correctly, and a cave digged into solid rock. Now let us look at the passage from Josephus, that is from the Jewish Wars, book number 7, chapter 2, paragraph 1, and I will read it for you. And here it was that Titus was informed of the seizure of Simon, which was made after the manner following. This Simon, during the siege of Jerusalem, was in the upper city. But when the Roman army was gotten within the walls and were laying the city waste, he then took the most faithful of his friends with him, and among them some of there were stone cutters, with those iron tools which belongs to their occupation, and as a great quantity of provisions as would suffice them for a long time, and let himself and all them down into a certain subterraneous cavern that was not visible from above the ground. Now, so far as had been digged of old, they went onward along without disturbance, but where they met the solid earth, they dig a mine underground, and this in hopes that they should be able to proceed so far as to rise from under the ground in a safe place, and by that means escape. But when they came to make the experiment, they were disappointed of their hope, for the miners could make but small progress, and that with difficulty also, insomuch that their provisions, also they distribute them by measure, began to fail them. And now Simon, thinking he might be able to astonish and delude the Romans, put on a white frock and buttoned up him a purple cloak, and appeared out of the ground in the place where the temple had formerly been. Now, the most important phrase here is the place that Simon appeared in the place where the temple had formerly been. And it is not difficult to imagine a lot of rubble from the ruins on the temple there at the entrance of the cave, and Simon climbing out of that cave, appearing on top of the rubble at the temple site. So, unless it has been a widespread hobby among the rebels to dig tunnels into the bedrock in the closing hours of the war, then the only conclusion that could be drawn here is that this is the temple site, because this is the place where Simon appeared. Again, unless it was a widespread hobby among the rebels to dig tunnels into bedrock. I even think to know why such strange patterns were discovered in the wall of the cave, supposedly a calendar, as if that would be the main concern when your life is in jeopardy. And no, the rebels were avoiding to make noise while digging their tunnels. Hammering would have revealed their location and their plan. So they were basically scratching their way out of Jerusalem. Or at least that was the plan, up until they ran out of supplies, while their coins turned out to be uneatable, left behind there, to be found 2,000 years later. I figured it was 2018. So I don't need to spell out the implication of this, that Simon appeared on this location here. Now, the second thing that interested me from this video, and I will not going to show that here, the link is in the description, you can look for yourself, was that passage into the Temple Mount from Antonia. Now, Josephus is mentioning the existence of a secret passage, and he is doing that in Jewish Antiquities, book number 15, chapter 11, paragraph 7. There it is said, there was also an occult passage built for the king. It led from Antonia to the inner temple at its eastern gate, over which he also erected for himself a tower, that he might have the opportunity of a subterraneous ascent to the temple, in order to guard against any sedition which might be made by the people against their kings. Now, the most logical passage for such a the most logical place for such a passage from the eastern gate would have been here, from here to here, and that is because you want to avoid the bedrock while you are making such a passage. Because if we are looking at a cross section from this side in the northern direction, then this is the temple square, the surface, so to speak, and here you have the retaining wall, and the bedrock, that is somewhere here, the bedrock. And of course, it makes the much sense to make your passage somewhere in the filling material. That would make your work a lot easier, and that made the passage, then make this the most logical place for the passage. So I am now, from what I saw in that video, it didn't look like a very royal passage. But hey, it was meant for emergency, for the just in case situations. So I'm curious what they will find when they continue their excavation next year, whether or not this passage is going upward. It probably, in that case, it will probably be filled up by with dirt from above, but it will certainly add to my case. Thank you for listening.